Okay, y'all, so let's talk about this. So, what we're doing today, I don't know how many parts we're going to break this down to, okay? So, what we have here is the Willie Lynch Letter. Okay, I've had this for a very long time, right? And there's different versions of it in terms of the cover, hardcover, people adding their thoughts to this and explaining, breaking things down to people. And I know how to comprehend very well. Okay, so, all right, it's about that thick, as you can see. Okay, it's not a whole lot, but to break this down into videos, I don't think I'm going to just do one video take on it, because there are some explaining, and we'll just see some explaining that I'm going to have to do in here. Before I get started, let me say this, because there's a lot of people who will always tell you this: the Bible isn't wrong. There's no mistakes or contradictions in the Bible. The Bible is perfect. The problem is who? Men and women. They overlook, okay, the fact that if you read the Bible, go to the back of the Bible concordance, right? What does it tell you? That this is the inspired word of God. And I think people I know, I hear people get more and more away from the bullet points. One, okay, most important bullet point: the people that was said to have written the Bible didn't sit down and just write this on their own. This was the Spirit of God saying, hey, you, listen to me. Write this down. Okay, this is what this was. This wasn't, I heard some things about somebody named Jesus. I heard about this God who's created all. I think I'm going to write. No, this was supposed to be God telling them, this is what you want to write. See, the word inspired trick people this way. I can hear someone do poetry and get inspired to do some poetry, but what I'm saying won't have anything to do with what they were saying. Just the spark you might need sometime. You can have a day where you feel kind of lazy, your energy's not up, then all of a sudden you look out the window and see an 80-something-year-old couple out there power walking, and it might make you, man, let me get my ass up and go to the gym. You understand what I mean? That's inspired. So that word throws a lot of people off. They don't realize it. No, this was supposed to be God telling these people what to write, which is exactly why, even as a kid growing up, and I'm asking questions like, how could John the Baptist write anything when he was illiterate according to the Bible? And the answers that I would get was things like, well, see, God can do all things. You see, we can't question God. No, we do need to ask questions. You're sitting here teaching a classroom full of people, but this has me, the spidey senses is tingling now, because how could this be possible? If nobody taught you your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, would you know how to count and read and write right now? No, we understand what you're saying, but God is different. We talk about the Holy Spirit. See, he can do all that. See, and that's the type of lame answers that we would get. And then when you think of how long ago the Bible was written and how very little people knew. We had no technology. We had no space shuttles and what you call it, like cameras that we could set up, the satellites. We didn't have any of this stuff up there. And if you read in the Bible the things that they thought, but they're not saying we think, they're telling you this is what. Okay, there's even scriptures where they're talking about how there were 4 pillars of the earth, right? Like as if they were handles. And that when it rained, that God was literally grabbing these handles and shaking and causing water to spill from the top. They thought that the sky was a dome. You understand what I mean? The first car that we ever got, the car was made with square wheels. Okay, they had to screw it up before they could fix it and realize, okay, this isn't a good idea. So what they pictured, you understand what I'm saying? How primitive the mindset was. Think about people who didn't clean their meat before they ate it. They just killed, stuck a stick through it, made a fire, and right? Is that sanitary? Would you do that? Would I do that? Would you not do that right now? No, we wouldn't. You know how many people more than likely have gotten sick and died of different diseases and things they didn't understand? People have leprosy. People have seizures and all kinds of stuff. You got people trying to pray the devil out of them or decapitate. That person has a demon in them. Primitive ways of thinking. Now, I'm going into all this because this right here ties into slavery in the Bible as well. Okay? And these were religious people as well. Believe in a God, believe in a Savior, but were ruthless. Now, if you understand this Bible and you understand what you read here in this Willie Lynch letter, you see the correlation. But I always, when I read this Bible, I said this book was written by the Jews for the Jews, right? This is why the Jews don't believe in the New Testament. But then you look at the Romans and the Greeks, and I said, well, wait a minute. The Romans were the ones that went to kill Jesus, right? Then they're going to go make a Roman Catholic church. Make this make sense. So these people were racist. They were evil. They were rotten people. They were full of hatred. And the scriptures where God is saying, okay, your God, okay, is saying, you can take the people of the nations and make them your slaves down to the generations of your children, but you cannot rule over a fellow Israelite unless that Israelite is in debt and you can only rule over him for 6 years. Well, I wouldn't be a slave for no amount of time. You'd have to shoot me, kill me, okay? There's no moral way to own anybody, okay? And black people, okay, there's no human on earth that I don't see. I don't see why they would accept this type of stuff, okay? Unless they're evil, rotten, racist people, just like they were back in the days. And in terms of black people, you got to understand, this stuff completely worked against us. The Bible wasn't written in English, neither was the Quran, or any of these books. The Ethiopian Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, none of that shit was written in English. It wasn't for us. But it was for power, mind control, and to instill you with fear. Now, the Bible in general, no different. I mean, the Quran, the moon, cracks open, all these things that would cause a catastrophe on this earth if it happened, an actual flood, if this earth was actually flooded. But there's no records of any of this stuff happening. And outside of the Bible, nobody talks about any of these people in the Bible or any of these events that they claim occurred. You know, when the Bible tells you that the earth was completely flooded all the way up, right, to the tallest tree, the tallest mountain, okay? The tallest mountain. Everything on earth at the same time was all covered. These people didn't know about anywhere else other than where they lived. They were not geographically conscious of anything. They didn't know anything about any other countries. Okay? And the way they describe things. I mean, same thing I read in the Quran where the Prophet Muhammad flew to heaven on the back of a winged beast. I didn't know that we could even go into space without having the proper oxygen and the suits on and all. He flew on a wing. What beast was this? Okay? So my thing is this. Once you start accepting your role as a slave, as someone that is here to be undermined and disrespected, degraded, patronized, you understand what I mean? Degraded, everything, then you will pass that on to your kids, so forth and so on. And this is why, even like with me, And my parents, their generation, see, Southerners have a yes, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. And you look at it and go, damn, what the fuck? So we, coming from Philly, New York, New Jersey, places like, we not having that shit. So our parents, and the funny thing about my dad was no soft motherfucker. I seen my father squabble a couple of times. And my father had a temper. He ain't take no trash from anybody. But they tried to instill fear in us to a certain degree because they thought that would keep us safer with racist white Americans. But we wasn't having that shit. We just didn't have that fear. I remember going down south, the Carolinas, Georgia, all these different places. And I would notice how, what they call Southern hospitality. You could say that to a degree. You treat guests and people that show you love and you show them love. I get that but I would also notice the fear. Example, here you are talking to someone younger than your son or daughter, and you're referring to that person as sir, Mr., or ma'am. If your son or daughter had that same position, you be, girl, if you don't get up my face trying to boss me around, you understand what I'm saying? It was a whole different dynamic with the South and with up north, and we could see it like, nah, man, nah. So when we down south, we talking to the Southerners like, man, why y'all be letting these people talk to y'all like that? But they didn't see that the wrong. They didn't understand like why we were questioning it. Like they thought that this is just the way it was anywhere with black people. Nah, man. Right? But when you talk to them, they literally listen to what I'm telling you. I can remember being in Dublin, Georgia. Okay? I can remember being in Dublin, Georgia. I guess the kid's name was Luke. The boy was 17. I was 17. He was 17. Across the street from where my grandmother and my aunt used to live at. That's who we went to visit. There was a cemetery. And I don't know if any of you know anything about Dublin, Georgia. I don't know about now because I haven't been in a long time. But they had rattles. They had snakes, like big ass snakes, big ass bullfrogs. And everybody used to go to the ditches and throw their like watermelon rinds and chicken bones and all that shit, whatever. Man, like how common it is to see a stray cat in New York, a stray dog. Well, you saw snakes like that crossing the road all the time. They had nothing but dirt roads all over this place, right? And there was a groundskeeper, Mr. Jones, right? This dude was yasum, right? Bowing, wouldn't look the guy in the eye. See, and these are all the things that we learned from the Southerners. They don't look the white man in the eye. So what happened is his dad sent his son there to give him the guy some, and he yasum, right? And when he was leaving, he came back. Now, y'all remember those old school lawnmowers that you just push? No motor, nothing. And the blade just spin. The whole thing was made out of wood. Everything except for the wheels and the line that kept the wheels together and the blades, of course. That's what he could. Thank you, Master Luke. Thank you, Master Luke. And we look. It just went all over me like, what the fuck, Master Luke? And you know that country ass accent. Oh, man, thank you, Master Luke. Thank you, Master Luke. And I'm Master. I couldn't, man. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? Like I couldn't wait. I just had to leave because I couldn't stand the way black people was being treated. And this is when I was down there seeing it myself. Me and this motherfucker the same age. My parents, my mom wasn't there this time. It was me, my father, and two of my sisters. And we were there. But when I'm saying, but they teach you to be respectful, show the utmost respect to black men and women, to adults, period. But what I'm saying, but to black men and women, that was basically being talked to by white girls and white boys our age, okay, like they were their peers or something. Actually, like they were above them, not even their peers, like they were above them. So my thing was, I'm not here to be disrespectful, and y'all didn't raise me to be disrespectful. But Pop, you making it a big deal, like you know that's Mr. Jones did. Now you don't want me to call him by his first name, but that white guy's calling him by his first name. We and him the same fucking age. You understand what I'm saying? And he's calling him Master Luke. What the hell is respectable about that? I couldn't sort everything out at that moment because it takes time you learn. But I was, you just have that vibe. You know what you feel is wrong, but then the words come to you a bit later on. You start to see more. You understand. It wasn't just that guy. It was just how people treated people in general down there. And I got sick of it, and I couldn't stand it. And I'm like, it's not like that. Do we have racism? Yeah. But they know better up north than to come to us, that boy and that nigga and that coon monkey shit. And they knew better. But no. And so what I'm telling you is, I witnessed with my own two eyes and my own two ears Mr. Jones calling this young white dude Master Luke. That shit just went all over my body, man. And when you hear your parents talk about back home, I feel, oh, go back home. And they always did that. You ever see when black people sing them old Negro spirituals and how y'all just shaking and looking up to the sky as if I'm trying to make you proud, whoever you are up there. It was all a rocking back and back home. And I'm like, why would you want to go back to that place? Look at how they talk to y'all out there. Now, I said, Pop, why'd you leave there in the first place? If it's so great, why'd you come up here? It's something about Southerners, just like West Indians. Black American Southerners and West Indians got a very similar mentality. And they all had this one thing in common for sure. Back in the days, West Indians that came to America. Now, did you come to America to become a nanny, to become a housekeeper, to become a nurse aide? Because that's the jobs that they had. And I said, like, you couldn't do this back where you from? Obviously not, right? And the money that they was making, and the dollar amount versus Jamaican dollars or Haitian dollars or wherever the fuck, Guyanese dollars, well, it's a huge difference. So what they would do, they would come here. Now I'm going to spend all my years here working, right? Especially if it was a county job. Get all this money, and they sending money back home, right? They're building a house up and all of this type of stuff, right? So the idea is when I retire, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go back home, live off my pension like a king or a queen. Most of the time, that's not how it ended, though. But that was the plan. Same thing with Black American Southerners. They leave the South, come up north with much of nothing, don't even know what their plan B or C is, find a way to make it, and once they start making it, that was what their idea was. I'm going to save up some money, build a nice house back down where I'm from, and whatever. Now, the difference with the dollar amount is not the same, of course, with people from other countries. No. But that was the idea. And they were, oh, yeah, back home. And I'm sitting there like, somebody calling you, come here, boy. Hey, nigga, come here. And you want to go back to that shit? And I'm sitting there like, I can't even picture my father being in that situation. I can't even picture him allowing somebody to talk to him like that. So my whole thing with all of that was, why would you even smile when you think about the memories that you had there? Not to mention, who's there? All of your family's gone. And the ones that's still in the South is no longer there. So if it's a pride thing, that's a foolish pride thing. What are you going back home to? Now, when you hear, let's get back to the Bible. When you hear you can take people of the nations, what are they telling you? That's no different from white Americans saying, hey, you niggas don't belong here. You fucking spicks don't belong here. You slanted eyed chinks don't belong here. This is our land, which is bullshit. But this is the whole point. You cannot rule over your fellow white American, but you can rule over all these other people of the nations. They're not our equals. See, the Bible, God in the Bible is instructing you how to even trick, even for that fellow Israelite. You can trick him into staying if they bear you a wife. And when they say bear you a wife, the funny thing is they make it sound like slave is just a nationality, and somebody found you on the street with nowhere to go, and hey man, I care for you, my black brother. Come, let me take you in. Like, no, you were made into a slave. You were captured. You were held against your will. Now, when they say if they bared you a wife, no, they didn't bear you anything. Let's say you met a woman as a slave. Now, if you ask that slave owner, I don't even like to say that word master. I don't even like to say any of that. But you ask that person, can my wife stay here and this, that, and she's pregnant with my child? Let's say that he said, yeah, okay. She's now his property as well. So now let's say that slave owner, whatever the time comes, if he decides, you're free, get out of my life, nigga, but your wife is staying with me. You understand what I'm saying? If the wife decides she wants to stay, now, then you have no fight. You understand? You had no legal wedding ceremony, which didn't matter anything. If one of them fucking slave masters decided, man, I'm not letting you go, what was going to happen legally? Nothing. How many slaves was freed, got captured by some other slave owners, and took that slave in? We know damn well, we see how crooked society is now, but they try to make you think everything was okay, even though it was a faulty system. They did things within the rules. Bullshit. So if that woman decided that she wanted to go, okay, if he decided, no, you stay, there was no going to be nothing happen to that person. Trust me, nothing was going to happen. And for the fact that even if she wanted to go, now what is this guy going to find? What work is he going to find? Where is he going to put her and his kid? Not to mention, we know what they did to black babies. We know that they was raping the black women. We know what was going on. We know how things went. But God in the Bible, God is giving instructions on how to treat your slaves. So even when you read things like if you should beat your slave and he dies within a couple of days, right, then there will be some punishment. And it's not because you mistreated a human. You already made him a fucking slave. It's because this is how you made your money. And other people, whatever business you did, whatever you was doing, other people depending on you, it was their system. It had nothing to do with mistreating a fucking human being when you own them already and you're beating them in the first place. But then too, if you beat the slave and then nothing happens, he doesn't die in a couple of days, right? There's no punishment. We have rules right now that get bent all the time, right? So don't picture it in your mind when you read this book like, oh, or you hear me telling you or somebody else telling you like, oh, they follow the system. And no, it's just as crooked as we have life right now. We have a president in office that has 34 felony accounts. Yeah, let's not forget that. Okay, so here's my point. And for the record, you know in the Bible, everything written in red letters is always supposed to be what Jesus or what God said, right? Yeah, and notice all the slavery verses that are written in red. See, but people try to always and plus if you read, you understand where it's coming from. So in the Bible, God, he's condoning slavery. Okay, not only is he condoning it, okay, but he's basically giving instructions, as I said. So when racist white people, they don't care that they're wrong. They don't want to be considered wrong. And if they understand that this is in the Bible, this is where this comes from with their mentality. Yeah, these are so-called Christians. And basically, I don't even have to say so-called because there's nothing good about Christians. I have them in my family. And you love certain family members, you love people, but at the same time, I don't accept their bullshit. And I tell them, and they see the thing is, they overlook these facts that I'm telling you right now. And they try to show love and be kind to people. No, not like they was doing in the Bible. No, no, you'd be considered soft. You're not hard enough. No, that's not what we do. The stoning of your own children, all this kind of shit that's in this Bible. This is where these racist white people get this shit from. And why they don't think that they're wrong. And they don't care. Okay. So let's get into this. I'm going to read this first passage, and then everything else is going to be a separate video. I just wanted to get this intro done. So you're going to have to watch the videos as they record. So watch it all so you can go through all of them. I don't know how many I'm going to break it down into. I'll have to, and then this way I don't have to go through, about what I've already spoken about now with the Bible and all that, those details. Okay. Now, this is the very first page. Okay. See that? And I want to read this to you. And I'm going to explain. Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord. Okay? Religious people, believers in Christ, believers of God. Okay? In the year of our Lord, 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I'm here to help you solve some of your problems with your slaves. Okay? Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies. Yeah, West Indians, learn your history, because I hear y'all talking a lot of shit like y'all didn't go through this, but we know what happened in Africa and how this all started, right? And from the biblical times up to now, up to more recent times, should I say, you know what I'm saying, okay? And let's not forget, they had a slave in the year 1970 something that actually showed that Alabama still had slaves, and that was supposed to be the last recorded slave that we know of in the 1970s. Showed they're walking their papers of freedom. Old and dried up at the time, no use for nothing now. But you understand what I mean? 1970 something. All right. In the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. Now, let me read that part again, okay? Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord, 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I'm here to help you solve some of your problems with your slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. Now, why does he compare his methods to ancient Rome? And where do you think and what he's referencing? Okay? So we know this guy, Willie Lynch, is here to assist with the control of slaves. And as you can see here, you have a slave being hung while being beaten. Okay? And for any of you black idiots out there that think that this was what we deserved, because the Bible says it, you have a problem. Now, as our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. while Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its old highway in great numbers, you here are using the tree and the rope on occasion. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I'm not here. Okay. I'm not here to enumerate your problems. I'm here to introduce you to a method solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if I install correctly, that if you, I'm sorry, one of you, yeah, if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have continued a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on the modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it is there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There's intelligence, size, sex, status. Okay, those are all categories on his rating how things are done. On plantation attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulteration, respect, or admiration. Now, before I even go further, we can get them to not trust each other, right? We can get them to be scared to communicate with each other. He might go back and tell what I said or what I'm thinking, right? Show favor towards some of these slaves to make the others envious of. See, now you got your house nigga and your field nigga, right? You don't care for any of them. But basically, we want to instill fear in them of everything. You see this crabs in the barrel mentality that still affects us right now today. They're beating these slaves. They hang them and they leave them hanging up as an example. So people see this. If you think about leaving, if you think about running away, if you think about doing anything that we don't want you to do, that's going to be you. And you heard him. He got a whiff. Say this dead body's been hanging up there for a long time as an example. Some of you still walk around here talking about, but that's what God wanted. Fuck you and your God. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male. Yeah. And the young black male against the old black male you must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must also have your white servants. Now, mind you, white servants, not white slaves. Which is why when they write books right now and they replace the word slave with the word servants, when we're talking about slaves, they're still trying to use mind control on you. They're trying to use trickery. They're trying to water down what the process was. And you right now in 2026 are seeing racism. The shit I'm hearing right now wasn't the same way since I've been on this earth. To where, yes, depending on where you were, yes. But these racist white people knew, nah, these black dudes will whoop your ass. They will beat you and hang your ass. We got to fall back now. And the more we fought for equal and civil rights, these cowards, when they started losing power, losing their grip, when they started having to hire people out, hey man, listen, affirmative action, equal opportunities, you can't be discriminated, all of this stuff. It was just tolerate these niggas. Just tolerate these niggas. Yeah. And they didn't want people running to the Better Business Bureau and doing things that could hurt their business. It's never because they ever cared about us. And they still don't. And I'm talking about the ones who are like that. Okay? You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. And you see, even to this day, when these little white kids that you see don't know anything about the world yet, haven't did anything, but they got parents that's talking about these niggas this, these niggas that. Well, I know my little Shelly better never bring no nigga home. I would never let a nigga in this house. Only thing a nigga can do for me is cut my grass. A nigga this, a nigga that. Right? They hear this. They hear this. And what do you think these little kids grew up seeing and thinking about us? Yeah, same little kid used to walk around, could barely even walk, bopping around. Oh, look at the little cute little kid. Yeah, and then one day that same little girl, that same little boy is calling you nigga, monkey, coon, or because this is what they're taught. Now, we always said we've seen racist white people act like they're so fearful or are so entrusting of black people that they've never even met. Why? Just because they're black. No different from this idiot that got smoked, Charlie Kirk, when he says, hey, if I go on a plane and I see a black pilot, I'm thinking, oh boy, I hope this person is qualified, right? So you know for a fact that if they're white, you're just, you're safe. Well, asshole, well, he can't see shit now. But plain and simple, go look at how many planes went down and look at how many of the pilots were white. Yeah. Now go look at how many times something happened with a plane and the pilot brought them to safety and how many of them wasn't white. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? But that's the mindset. So it still worked both ways. Racist white people are taught to not trust us, and we've done nothing to them motherfuckers. Black people are still taught to feel inferior. And all we have in terms of so-called black leaders today is just people doing what? Talking, pointing out things and trying to be real cordial about it. White people wouldn't spit on us. No, we came after that shit. So our era was, they knew better. They knew better, like, these black dudes is not like the ones before them, and before them, these guys are different. And I know this because I was here to see it, and I'm still here to see it. And I'm still not having it. Okay. So, you must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. But it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Now, listen at this. Someone owns you, beats you, rape, do whatever they want to you. But you hear this? They must love. Do you hear this? They must love, respect, and trust only us. Let's turn these niggas against each other. Oh, yeah. We'll even start some shit. We'll lie and say this person even said something about the other. Somebody told us something that you said, whatever it may be. But that fear, that hatred, that evil, the wrongdoing to them is introduced to you as love. So it's like you take a person that's born in a fucked up situation. He look around, the streets are all fucked up. It smells like piss everywhere. You got drug addicts and dope dealers everywhere. You got shootouts all the time. People getting killed. That becomes normal life to people. Do you understand what I'm saying? So somebody that lives better than that, they don't know anything about that. And judging from where they from, and they never leave where they're from, they think that's how everybody lives. Till they see something different, they think, like, is this shit real? They can't really relate to that shit. And they think everybody got to be rich just to live a civil life. Now, you hate us, you're racist against us, you own us as a people like we're Lord and animals. But they must love, respect, and trust only us. Who is us? The slave masters. Anybody with white skin, that basically everybody's over you. Everybody. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. That's all the Bible is. It's all about control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distressful. Thank you, gentlemen. So when he even references talking about the Romans, right? Look, anybody back in those times, they know where this comes from. And they know about the Bible and what happened in the Bible. Now, I don't believe any of that biblical shit. I believe, yeah, there are some places that were real places. I don't believe about the people and the stories and all that. But in terms of the slavery and what they're talking about in there, it's all instructions. It's all mind control. The people that wrote the Bible know what their intentions was for writing that. You understand? There's no God, but that's what the Bible is telling you. God has ordained this. Because coming from one man to another, see, you have problems like this, people might fight back. No, this is coming from a higher power. And when you're outnumbered, somebody has an army versus your little bit of people, and you're scared. Now, my thing is this. The slave was scared to fight back, but the slave knew as long as he was on that plantation. Look at the back of the slave. Can y'all see all the welts on his back? Yeah. Yeah. And this is how they lived. Okay. Let's make a slave. The original and development of a social being called the Negro. Okay. That's the headline on here. I might not even have to make separate videos. I might maybe have to make one more, or unless I can get all of this out in this one. Let us make a slave. What do we need? First of all, we need a black nigger man. That's what it says. Yeah. A black nigger man, a pregnant nigger woman, and her baby nigger boy. Second, we will use the same basic principle that we use in breaking a horse. Combined with some more sustaining factors, we reduce them from their natural state in nature, whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their needs and the needs of their offspring. We break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency state so they will so that we may be able to get from them useful production for our business and pleasure. Oh yeah. We're not going to let them have their natural instincts, things that they innately know, how to care for each other, care for their offspring, for their children. No, we break them the way we do horses. See how we're being compared to animals, and we're being treated worse than animals. And like you said, business and pleasure. Whatever they find entertaining. Yeah, and also with fucking your black woman. Oh yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine being a motherfucker having to work somewhere, being held captive, and part of your punishment, and also to send a message to you where basically that white dude strip down and make your black woman do all types of sexual things to him, and then he do all and make you watch it, all these type of shit. That, let me tell y'all something. Your school curriculums never taught this, and they still won't. But there's books in every library. You lazy ass people can go pull this shit up right here and read about things of that nature. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But this is not what they want you to know. They want you to know. They want you to know their version of what is and what was. For fear, okay, cardinal principles for making a Negro. That's who we are now. For fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both horses and men, he laid down the art for, if we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break both of the, I need to turn this damn light on. We need to turn both of these together. We need to, okay, we lay down our art. If we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break both of the beasts together. So they're calling a horse a beast, and they're calling black men beasts. Black people are beasts. Okay? We must break the beasts together. The nigger and the horse. We understand that short-range planning in economics results in periodic economic chaos. So that to avoid turmoil, and it's weird the way they put words together. That's why I'm stumbling, because we don't talk the way these motherfuckers, like, you understand what I mean? Like, the way they put these words is like, fuck. All right, but this is what this racist piece of shit wrote. Okay. So we understand that short-range planning in economics results in periodic economic chaos, so that to avoid turmoil in the economy, it requires us to have beneath and depth and long-range comprehensive planning, articulating both skill and sharp perception. We lay down the following principles for long-range comprehensive economic planning. So this man took the time to sit down and give a lot of thought, and to take black people, treat them less than animals, reference us as animals. In fact, there was books I read where they had us in cages like animals. Literally in cages. Yeah, you see people do that shit now. You ever go in the store? I remember the first time I saw this shit, and I thought this was a fucking dog cage. And motherfucker, oh, well, no, this is for like role playing, and when you have like a sex slave or whatever. And I'm like, who the fuck gonna ball up and crawl in that little ass cage? I'm like, what kind of shit? And I was about 19 years old. And I'm like, the fuck? What kind of shit is this? All right. Both horse and niggers are no good to the economy in the wild or natural state. Both must be broken and tied together for orderly production, for orderly futures, and special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. You already know where they're going with this one, right? But you see, everything is to break you down mentally, to have you completely confused, afraid, and submissive. So there's no rejection to anything that they expect of you. And they want you to do it without being told to do it. And they want you to do it and feel proud about doing it. And not feel like you're being treated. They wanted you to, they don't care how you feel, but they wanted to break the cycle of people feeling like, I got to escape here. No, we don't want to lose the slaves. We need them. Their only value to us is to work, produce work for us. Both must be, okay, now this is about the woman and the offspring, okay? Special particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. Both must be crossbred to produce a variety in division of labor. Both must be taught to respond to a particular new language. Wow. Psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. We hold the above 6 cardinals as truths to be self-evident based upon the following discourse concerning the economics of breaking and tying the horse and nigger together, all inclusive of the 6 principles laid down above. You know, let me just tie this in here real quick, man. When I was a kid, I remember this dark-skinned chick. She said to me, I was about 15, 14, maybe like 14. And I was walking past a group of people, and she goes, "Oh my God, you are so fine, but you light-skinned. I don't like light-skinned niggas." I looked at her and I said, "Yeah, that's cool, because there's nothing about you that I like. And I definitely don't like stupid-ass bitches." Yeah, that's the face she gave me, right? And I look, yeah, what? And I went in the store, got my shit, and I left. And I never understood how stupid black people could be. To where it was always, even you heard some years ago, people, oh, they only put light-skinned people for the movie roles. I can't stand that light-skinned bitch. And I can't this and that, right? And dark-skinned versus light-skinned and light-skinned versus dark-skinned and all. And it was just like, wow, we get enough hatred from racist people. And we carrying this bullshit. We're harboring this inside of us. And that same black chick, she felt stupid. And then people was like, yo, why you try to flex on Aries like that? Yo, he don't take that shit from nobody. But why would you say that? That's the coolest motherfucker out here. Like, you know, and little by little, she would try, just little, you know, but it was like, you know, I wasn't trying to hear that shit. So some years went by and she saw me one day and apologized for some shit she said. And now I'm like 14 when this happened, right? So now I'm like 21. This bitch like 23, 24. But it took her all those years. Because I would just see it here and there, kind of, but like I was always on the move, but she wanted to apologize and this and this and this and that, or whatever. And she wanted to, so, you know, yeah, I clapped them cheeks and then dismissed her and let her go on about her business. Gave her what she fucking wanted all them years ago. Just now she running around. Where is he at? I don't but I thought we was going to, oh my God, what did anybody know where Aries is? Yeah. The same light-skinned motherfucker that you was hating on because I'm light-skinned. But do you understand these stereotypes, the stupidity? Did I show you? No, I didn't show y'all this video. About maybe a week or two ago, where it was a light-skinned Haitian chick was being interviewed by some black American dudes. And I don't even know what the interview was about. But she asked one of the black dudes, where you from? Were you a dirty black American? And he's like, well, what you say? Then she, dirty black American, this and this and that. Then she starts trying to, you know, when everybody started getting on her. Because I guess she got used to, oh, shit, she tweaking, yo, why you? Nah. And they was like, nah, they started getting on her ass. Then she starts talking about, no, I talk about Haitian people too, you know, and this and that. I call them dirty Haitians too. So what are you? You're dirty what? The fact that we got black people that look at other black people, period. I don't care where they're from, but turn your lip up at them. So what the fuck are you? You understand what I'm saying? And she was, I apologize because I didn't. You took this really serious. I didn't like you. What the fuck was he supposed to? How was he supposed to take it? And you have a black guest on your show. This is why I said. Remember, I told you guys I don't even like doing videos of people because I see a lot of people. They got weaknesses. They do when they say things. They like to debate or try to become combative and argumentative about shit where I'm not kissing nobody's ass. So at the end of the fucking day, I always tell people this shit. If the conversation is not productive, then you do your video with somebody else. If it's about what's real, then we can maybe, Depends on who it is. Because for me, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in jail. Because I will find you. You understand what I'm saying? It's just not necessary. And I'm not a sellout, half sellout, 30% sellout, almost none of that. But I see these people sit up here and try to be something that they're not, depending on who they're talking to. So yeah, our people have this. You see, this still exists inside of here in black and white people. This affects us to this day. And this stems from the Bible to this. And the Quran as well. Any of those Bibles. Okay. Now, note, neither principles alone will suffice for good economics. All principles must be employed for the orderly good of the nation. You see what I'm talking about? The same way how the Bible tells you, you may take the people of the nations and rule them over them and pass it down as slaves, okay, to the generations of your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, all that, right? But not over another fellow Israelite. This is the same thing. This is for the nations, right? Us black slaves produce and do the dirty work of all these racist fucking people that enslaved our people. That's what we were to them. And this is what I'm saying. You, even in the Bible, they're not upset with you because you killed the slave, because you killed a black person. It's, what are you doing? This is a workhorse. This is a beast. This is a working beast. You're fucking up the money. Okay. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or natural nigger, do you hear that? A wild or natural nigger is dangerous, even if captured, for they will have the tendency to seek their customary freedom, and in doing so might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. They sleep while you are awake. Wow. And are awake while you sleep. They are dangerous near the family, the house, and it requires too much labor to watch them away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in the natural state. All right? They cannot work in this natural state. Hence, both the horse and the nigger must be broken. That is, break them from one of mental life to another. So, basically, these coward-ass motherfuckers, yeah, they don't want you to escape. Like I said earlier, they don't want you to try anything. Now, they're not only worried about you escaping, but this nigga might kill me while I'm sleeping. I don't want that. That would be wrong. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's some slaves that killed themselves because they couldn't take it no more. Or if they did, kill one of these fucking racist pieces of shit. See, these ain't white people. These are crackers right here. They killed one of them fucking crackers and said, "Now fuck that." And they ended themselves. I'm going to go, but I'm going to get this motherfucker first. And I'm going to make sure he dead. And I'm going to take my chance at escaping. But if I get caught, I'm just going to do myself because I refuse to continue to be a slave. Okay. Keep the body and take the mind. All psychological, just like the Bible. It's all about control, breaking you down, not knowing your identity. I'm going to tell you who and what the fuck you are. Whole time they're comparing us to fucking workhorses. You know how much work a horse do? You know how much labor they get out of horses and all different types of labor they get from horses? And they references us as niggers, as beasts, and comparing us to a fucking horse. Okay, keep the body and take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist, like I told you earlier. Now, the breaking process is the same for the horse and the nigger, only slightly variant in degrees. But as we said before, you must keep your eye focused on the female and the offspring of the horse and the nigger. A brief discourse in offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking, but concentrate on the future generations. Therefore, if you break the female, she will break the offspring in its early years of development, and when the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you, for her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. For example, take the case of the wild stud horse, a female horse and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process with two captured niggers. Two captured nigger and makes in their natural state a pregnant nigger woman with her infant offspring. Take the stud horse, break him for limited containment, completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, whereas you or anybody can ride her in comfort. Breed the mare, and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Train the female horse whereby she will eat you up. She will eat out of your hand. Okay. As she will train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. Now let's just think about that, right? The older slaves are going to be harder to deal with because they'll fight back. Okay? But they are outnumbered. So it's either you work or you die. Right? Because they have no use for you if you refuse to work. So therefore, killing you is like, well, we wasn't going to get anything. No, don't kill him. Break him. You beat him. You torture him. You do things like fuck his wife in front of him. Huh? You threaten the security. You threaten the baby, anything. Right? The younger kids coming up, the mama is going to fear this. Who protects the woman? The man. She's going to see this and know, hey, listen, she's going to teach that kid to be obedient to massa. Don't fight back. Don't resist. This is natural. This is normal. So when that kid is looking at mama and looking at these white people and they look, yeah, they're being taught to cooperate and accept slavery. See the comparison, even like with the horse. Same thing. They give birth and they see you nurturing this little baby horse, and they see you doing things and feed it. Same thing, right? They will eat out of your hand. They trust you. It's just like when you have a pet. You've had kittens or had puppies, right? Now your dog trusts you. Your cat trusts you. They have their babies. Sometimes the cat. You ever have your cat come in or your dog grab your hand and pull you to where they're going? Or bring the babies to you. They try to put the baby, because they trust you. Do you understand? This piece of shit is comparing us black people to animals and breaking in the black nigger man and woman the same way you do a horse. So therefore, if mama trusts you, right? The son's growing up now, they old enough to work, and we ain't talking about when they 21. When them motherfucker 12, 13, whenever the fuck, all right? Get your black ass up there and work. They start teaching this shit when they little, okay? And they start working. But now what starts to happen is the black man, as he gets older, he's looking at it like, I know what these motherfuckers are about. I understand what this no good motherfucker is, right? And what's going to happen now? That mother want to keep them babies safe. She going to turn on her fucking husband. Do you understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, he know his limitations. It's either torture or death or cooperate, right? And what happens? This becomes the nature of these little ones. What you think happens, and that's why they wanted the breeding process to start when these black girls is like 12 and 13 years old. They old enough to have baby, yeah. So they made them breed. That's the whole thing. You're going to get this black nigga bitch pregnant, and you're going to make a little black nigga baby, and you're going to, right? Let's make enough of them where, okay, we can afford to have this one sitting up, but they raising babies now. See, they own this. And they're breeding babies like how people breed pit bulls. And all you stupid niggas walk around here still wanting to be niggas. But we're saying nigga, not the hard ER. I get so sick of y'all with this shit. I told you, if I call you a nigga, I don't respect you. Okay. Okay. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized nigger, now why are we uncivilized? We're uncivilized. Now look at what they're doing to us, what they're calling us uncivilized. We're uncivilized because we reject being your slave. What about our lifestyle made us uncivilized? You're civil, owning people, lying to people, tricking people, huh? Being a deceiver, being a home wrecker, and that's civilized? Wow. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized nigger, use the same process, but vary the degree and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the mind. Take the meanest and most restless nigger, strip him of his clothes, and in front of the remaining male niggers, the female, and the nigger infant. Wow. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a different horse, facing opposite directions. Set him afire, and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining niggers. Oh yeah, like a concentration camp type of situation. We don't want that to happen. Oh yeah. And whoever just lost their daddy, that mother sitting there with their kids, they don't want that to happen. And think about this, right? Black women work too, but they prefer a boy. They want a male, right? So no. I seen what happened to your daddy. I don't want that for you. But this is the life that they're born into, so it's normal to them. Whether they like it or not, it becomes normal. Who likes it? Of course they didn't like it. But that's the only life that they know. They don't realize that this is wrong, that they're being treated wrong. Because, mama, but why? But this is the way it is. Now you're going to church, praying and singing to the same imaginary God that the white man is. What you think these fucking crackers is doing? What you think these fucking crackers is? Because these ain't white people. This is crackers right here. What you think these fucking crackers are doing? They come into church making sure you say what they want you to say. Force their bullshit religion on you. And this ain't even theirs. The Bible wasn't written in English. It's translated. This ain't American shit. This is American shit. This is American shit. This is white American shit. This is some cracker shit. But we're uncivilized. You know, when they show all these rappers out in Detroit, Chicago, whatever, calling Chicago Chirac and all that bullshit, you say, what happened? See, this mentality. These crackers probably sit up here eating popcorn, watching news. Look how these niggas live. Look at this shit. Just killing each other. We don't have to do anything to these niggas because they hate each other. They hate each other more than we do. They hate each other just as much as we hate them. And whenever they can pull any one of y'all in, yeah, you all keep going. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger. Right? Beat the excuse me. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger male to the point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. Like I told you earlier, fear is the biggest part. Now, like I said, the mama gonna see what happened to the daddy. They're like, no, we don't want that for you. Now we gonna beat these other guys. And they use them for breeding purposes too. Not just working out in the fields and shit and all that. Or whatever work they had him doing. And we're gonna beat him. Right? Almost to the point of death. But this is the center message. And again, The mama gonna grow up seeing this shit. Gonna have the kids grow up seeing this shit and trying to keep them as safe as possible, right? Well, what happens today in the black household? Black woman quick to go run, jump on the fucking phone and call the police because she's not getting her way with her man. He ain't did nothing to her, but no. Or she jump in his face, hitting him, hit me, nigga, hit me, what you, right? He grab her ass and toss her across the room onto the couch of the bed or something. Oh my God, right? Call the police on him. What happens when black men and black women can't get along? They go running to let me take you to court. I'm gonna take all your money, right? Oh yeah. Because that is part of the programming. Let's get these black nigger women to run to the white man on them. And you know you're not spending that money on that kid. That kid is not even eating baby food and formula milk and all that. Y'all giving that baby table food. After a certain point, that baby eating table food. You taking that money, getting your hair and your nails done and doing whatever you're doing. Then you keep the baby from the man. All of these things. So when you hear people even say in movies, you hear them, don't make me run to the man on you. Yeah. All that is coming from here. Slavery. Wow. Okay. The breaking process of the African woman. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor. For good economics, if she knows any signs of resistance, if she shows any sign of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract that last bit of bitch out of her. You see that shit? Let me read that again. If she shows any sign of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract that last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. She's a baby maker, see? When in complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they will come of age. And see, here's the thing about all of that. They're beating the man in front of them. That should, like he said, to put the fear of God in them. What you think the Bible is? Everything is fear of God. It's not me you got to worry about. You disrespect me, you got to deal with God. This is God's will that you niggas do what we say. Right? So now, if that is not enough to make her submit to you fully, right? Guess what? We'll beat her black ass too and show her, no, bitch, you have no rights either. Well, that comes to sex and anything, whatever the fuck they want from you. You don't ever tell me no. And we don't give a fuck if your husband's around. I own that nigga too. Check this out. I saw a rapper sitting on a show with a former porn star, right? She used to do scenes where dudes would call her nigger. Suck this white cock, you black nigga bitch. That's right, use that big monkey lip. Yeah, you black nigga bitch, yeah. She did all that kind of stuff. And I sat there and I looked at both of them and I just shook my head and said, yeah. Now, you're a married man. I don't know what she got going on. But I always said to myself, man, when people get to that point where your woman know what she does for a living, why are you around her? Oh, we go way back. And the thought that nothing ever happened between y'all, and the fact that y'all used to date at one point or whatever, that don't bother the person you with right now. In fact, you're not protective of the person you with right now to say, nah, I can't be running around with her. I know what that shit look like, and I don't want my woman. I don't want my queen thinking the wrong thing. I don't want her feeling some type of way, but tolerating it because of who I am and worried about if something goes wrong between the two of us, then we just go our separate ways, but over what? And we got kids together and all of that type of stuff. And I sit there like, nah, you see, the black man don't protect this black woman. The black woman don't protect her black man. And this era in time, people just do whatever they want to do. And my thing is, if you are in a position of doing a movie, right? I'm talking a regular big screen movie. We've heard different actors and actresses turn down certain roles. I know there's roles I wouldn't play. The fact that you let all these men sit here and DP you and yak all over your face and call you a nigger and tell you that, what are you, a dumb nigger slut? Say it, I'm a dumb nigger slut that loves white cock. Yeah, you nigger bitch. And this is what they're doing. And your hood ass sitting here with this motherfucker. And I bet you if this bitch got a man, that nigga can't tell her nothing. Why would you even want to be with this motherfucker? This is why when relationships go sour, and you might find yourself attracted to somebody that you never paid attention to before because you were so into that one person, but the relationship is just, things do happen between people. But you understand what I'm saying? People will point that out that, well, nah, y'all still in a relationship regardless, right? Okay. Well, whoa. Just imagine anybody can put that video on. Look at your mother. Look what your mom should do, nigga. Hey, look at your mom getting fucked and look at DP'd up, calling herself a stupid nigga. She got 10 different nuts all over her face. She's sucking all these dudes, all this stuff. And when you see it, black men in this generation right now, same thing with all this homo stuff. They sitting up here, getting on their knees, sucking off men calling them all types of faggot niggas and bitch ass motherfuckers, suck this white cock nigga and all this. And I'm just like, yo, now, there's people right now who are afraid of these topics, but there's some people who are going, no, this is what's going on, right? And I told y'all the TikTok situation. So it on a couple of videos, several videos ago. But this is where we are. Because if you don't stand for nothing, all you got to do is throw money to somebody. Obama ain't never put no money in my hand, nigga. Kamala Harris ain't never put no money in my hand, nigga. But your white zaddy did, huh? Yeah. Which one of you niggas gonna perform for him? Ain't none of you niggas gonna perform for him? I can't, I'm gonna roast one of you niggas. I'll be the one to perform for him, sir. Okay. Let's continue. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into the area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced. What we have produced here in the breaking of the female nigger. We have reversed the relationships. So, way back when this book was written, you already had the situation of turning the black woman on the black man. Plain and simple. The black man got credit for nothing at all other than just producing. The woman had a bigger role. But if we can turn them against each other, that woman will look at us with actual love and fear of us and more love than she had for her so-called husband. Yeah. But overall, we want that same love, regardless to how we treat them. We want that same love and fear from both sides. And we want both of them to put us over them. No different from the Bible telling you, love thy enemy, turn the other cheek in war, right? Same person telling you to love thy enemy is also saying, if you do not hate your sister, brother, mother, father, that you're not of me. That's coming from your God. Not some so-called prophet or some preacher. This is coming from God in the Bible. And what is the example he used here? To put the fear of God in them. That verse in the Bible that says, slaves, obey your earthly masters with fear and sincerity of heart, as you would Christ. Not only those who are kind to you, but those who strike you and that are unjust. For a good slave makes a good Christian. Yeah. Does it sound any different from anything we're reading right here? Same shit. Okay. So what did we just leave off of? Okay. I'll read it again. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall, understanding what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what the effects are supposed to be. Simple. Okay. What your expectations is out of these niggas from what you're implementing. That's what he's telling you. Okay. So therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have to produce here. In this breaking of the female nigger, we have reversed the relationships in her natural uncivilized state. Here they go with that again. She would have a strong dependency. The uncivilized nigger, a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male. Wow, we're uncivilized. And look at what you got to do to, well, and she would have a limited protective dependency toward her independent male offspring and would raise female offspring to be dependent like her. Nature had provided, well, and think about this. I don't need no nigga. I got my own money. But until they get married, now I don't want to work anymore. It's your job to take care of me. So the expectations is high. And who do they run to when shit don't go the way they want it to? The white man. Trying to take way more than what the actual baby needs. Because this is about grown woman support at this point. But this is where all this shit comes from. That's why when black women meet a black woman, that's with other black women that say, I don't sit up and depend on my man to pay all the bills. And no, we do everything together. I got his back the same way he got mine. This ain't about, nigga, you go out and do everything. No, I love my black man. You know what they say? That bitch tripping. She tweaking shit. I ain't paying nothing. I ain't spending no money on no nigga. Nigga, you go out and do that. Nigga. Everything is nigga. I don't give a fuck if you're saying nigga or nigger. Listen here. Shit is solid and shit can come out like diarrhea. It's still shit, right? So I don't give a fuck what how you try to separate it. It's the same thing. Got the same stink, the same nastiness, and you don't want no part of it, right? Yeah. You don't want it on you. Maybe some of y'all do like that kind of shit. All right. Okay. She would have a limited protective dependency towards her independent male offspring and would raise her female offspring to be dependent like her. Okay. Nature had provided for this type of balance. Now, do you hear this shit? Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reversed nature. Do you hear this shit? So wait, you see these God-loving people? If this isn't the way God intended it, right? This isn't the way God intended it, but we're going to reverse the nature anyway. You see what I'm saying to you guys? Somehow people seem to think that people back in the day was good people. And the Bible was just weeding out the bad people. No. Your God says, I bring the light and the dark, and I create evil. Yes, I, the Lord, do these things. That's in your Bible. Well, no, what he's saying, Aries, is he creates people, and then people do. No, nigga, stop trying to fucking, don't be a slave all your life. Stop trying to make excuses. He specified what he meant. I create evil. Yes, I, the Lord, do these things. In fact, if you think about it, right? Everything in the Bible that makes God look good, the words mean exactly what they say. But anything that exposes him to be a piece of shit, oh, you're misconstruing what it means. And this also reminds me of the whole free will talk, which is bullshit. There's no free will. God intervened with the Pharaoh for not doing what he wanted him to do. So he confused the people to speak with a language they wouldn't understand. right? He killed all these people. Noah didn't do what God wanted, so you'll spend the next 3 days in the belly of a whale, right? He intervenes when he wants to, so there's no free will. No, there's no, see, well, God creates, everything God does is perfect, but he should, no, bullshit. No, that's selective. I interfere when I want to. So there's no free will. And if you say that God does things, well, he chose to do right, then that means he's not all powerful. He's not all knowing. And if he was all powerful, why would he choose the hard way? I'm going to kill the influenced, okay, the influenced by Satan, which is us, but I just won't kill the influencer, which is Satan. Wake the fuck up, y'all. We reverse the nature by burning and pulling one civilized nigga apart. You see that shit? So now you're civilized what? Because you basically been brainwashed by them, but we're going to kill you anyway. And we're going to make an example out of you. Okay. And they call you civilized now because you learned the white man's way. So now you're civilized. Yeah. Okay. Pulling one civilized nigga apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. Strike fear in her. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, of course. Right. The ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state, and this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reverse roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and depend, independent, but physically strong. Okay. That's all you are as a workhorse. That's why they compare us to horses. And when you think about this right now, right? Psychologically weak, this is how they do. If your little boy is running, he falls, right? And you, come on, soldier, you good. Come on, look at pop. You good, right? And he might, but right? What do women do? Oh, and what does he do? He starts crying. Well, come to mom. Oh, all right. Look at this generation. Little boys just walking around with bangs in their hair and they got beads in their little braids and all that shit. They're being taught this him, her bullshit. What's your pronouns? All this stupid, this just through time. This is all a process, y'all. All of this shit right here applies with the exception of the bull beating and the actual physical slavery. All of this shit, the psychological shit is there. It is there. You see this shit. Raise him to be physically weak. Raise him to be mentally weak, but physically strong so he can produce work and produce more kids. This is what it was, a breeding process. All of that. Which is why I say, even what people call Southern hospitality, like I said, to your loved ones, I get it, the love, but all, yes, sir, yes, yes, Master Luke, that ain't Southern hospitality. That's a slave mentality, and that's fear. We wasn't going for that shit, and we not going for it now. But this generation of people, through time, this generation didn't get this way overnight. This has been a process. It's always been happening. And that's why they always, let me tell you something. Look at what's different in the Bible. In the Bible, the man is the head of the household. But even in this, you hear what they're talking about. The female is going to be the one that's going to be the voice. Why do you think they want to say the female is the head of the household? And feminist women don't know any better. But think about it. How the fuck you going to teach a man how to be a man? I can teach a girl to have respect for herself. I can put that in here. But naturally, she going to walk like her mama. She going to get her cadence and everything from her mom, not me. Same way, your mama can't teach you how to be a man. She can tell you in here and teach you things, of course. But no, he going to look at his papa. He going to walk like daddy. He going to do what daddy does. He going to come to pop for those instructions in life and all that kind of shit, man. It's what I'm saying. So as a family, you learn and you grow together. There is no family here. There's no family structure. You've been replaced by massa. This is what's going to keep my kids safe. Yeah, yeah. And we know there's a whole lot of other shit that happened. But this pieces of shit. This is his letter. Okay, we almost actually through this book. Okay. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent as well. What have you got, right? You've got the nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind and scared. And when I see videos of white women saying, black women, stop calling the police on your man. Y'all get mad at us when something happens. You know, and we end up dating black men that you guys call the police on. Latino women, Filipino women, Thai women, everybody else other than black women. That's when black women want to speak up and say something about black men and want to talk about black men being sellouts. No, and this is the whole thing. They know if they threaten to call the cops or something, then what? Then what? Now think about how long ago this is written. Right? Look at that. The nigger woman out in front and the nigger man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep and economics. Everything was to make these crackers as possible as they possibly could be and have these black people scared. Like, if I got to pee at night, man, I just hold it. I don't want to walk past and master think I'm trying to do something. So when your curriculum in school is trying to tell you that they wasn't slaves, they were servants, and they were being treated like equals, and no, that's not the case. It was never the case, ever, at no point. Before the breaking process, we had to be alert and on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly. For out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He could not get past her early infant slave molding process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. And see, this is the thing. The control of her is to control her man, to make them more comfortable. Listen to your wife. You know what's good for you. Listen to your wife. Why, even nowadays, you see videos and you hear black men say what? Why is women always trying to think for men? Why are they always trying to think for men? Why are you always trying to tell a man how to be a man? There's always a woman trying to tell you a real man is this and this and that. To the point, think about everything we just read so far. Think about the video I posted last year of this black woman sitting there talking about a real man, even if you got a man and you break up, a real man is still going to pay your rent, even if you got a nigga living with you. Now, do you not see how this slave mentality has been passed down to us? Oh yeah, this shit is real. And y'all are looking at anything other than where it really came from. The source is slavery. And it's mental slavery that black people are still bonded under. They're bonded by this and don't understand it. This is where this shit comes from. The Bible and this mentality, this slave shit. But Willie Lynch, see, he's the one that proposed all of this shit. Well, this is how it went down. By the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is suddenly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor force. And this is also, when you think about it, young black people are far more disrespectful to elderly black people than they are to white people their age, a little bit older, much older, way older. It's just a natural, it's a fear mechanism that they want to put in. Even like, for example, when they show these videos of these black people getting punched and beat up by cops, nothing's happening to these police officers. What do you think? What message do you think that's sending to black people in general? Now go back to what Mike Epps said. And I told y'all this a couple of videos ago. Mike Epps said, no matter how much money you got, no matter how much power, how much fame, Black people can only rule over other black people. You can only disrespect other black people. Because as soon as you start trying to bite the hand that feeds you, that's when all of a sudden they come after you, take everything. Yeah. Yeah. And the sad part is the fact that people accept that shit and show you that they don't care. All they do is focus on what the fuck they want and what they think shit should be. And if you're a nigga just like me, fucking you tell me, nigga. And nigga, if you make it, yeah, I'll glaze you and be a gooner and all that, but guess what, nigga? If I get a chance to rob you, I will. If I get a chance to kill you or something, you understand what I'm saying? This is it. This is it. Okay. So let me read that again. By the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor force. So basically, again, this is the comparison to breeding a horse, to breaking in a horse. I'm your master. You do what I say. We, all of us, white skin, you listen to us. Do what we say. Don't trust each other. You guys are toxic to each other. That's what we want you to be. We want dysfunction. We don't want you to cooperate with each other. We want you to do everything out of fear for us. And the fact that he said they must only love in fear of, wow, he put the word love in there. They hate us. Yeah, fucking with your emotions. Psychologically have you fucked up. Continually through the breaking of uncivilized savage niggers by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state. Call her a nigger female savage, like we're animals. Yeah. To a frozen psychological state of independence by killing the productive male image. Yeah. And by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own, that turns on its own axis forever, unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the positions of the male and the female savages. Wow, calling us savages, bro. Look at who's talking. Look at what they're doing, but they're calling us savages. We show what we mean by example. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them closely. Now, the Negro marriage unit. Check this out. We breed two nigger males with two nigger females. Then we take the nigger males away from them and keep them moving and working. Say the nigger female bears a nigger female. Wow. And the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females, being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate her at will. So you can't say no. Anything we want you to do, you're going to do. We're not really giving you a fucking ultimatum or negotiation. We're telling you what it's going to be. You have no rights. You're a fucking slave. They're going to overrule you anyway. If you say no, what did they tell you early in the book? Take that bull whip and you whip her ass until she gives in. So, bottom line, we just want to rule and control. And that's all this shit is. Now, the one with the nigger male offspring, see being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak. Yes, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now, in a few years, when these two offsprings become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle that is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. So, as far as marriage is concerned, they're just talking about breeding like we're animals. But think about what I said about my dad. Now, of course, my dad wasn't a slave, okay? But my dad, I seen my pop. crack a couple of motherfuckers. All right. And let me tell you, and well, they wasn't black either. But bottom line, I seen my father get busy. But I told you, the fear of something happening to us, they tried to put fear in us to just, because my father, even when I would go for a job interview, you shut your mouth up, you do that white man shit. And I'm like, Pop, why you always say stuff like that? And why you always gotta think whoever's interviewing me is just automatically gonna be white? Why can't you ever just, I don't even need you to say the things you're saying, but why can't you just say, just go do what you gotta do, learn what you need to learn, pay attention, you'll be fine. Shut your mouth up, do that white man. Oh, don't look them in the eye, bullshit. They just couldn't understand. They thought we were rebellious. No, we don't want to hear that shit, man. Your generation was scared of these motherfuckers. We wasn't. But this is what I'm saying. My dad wasn't no punk, but he damn sure was trying to teach us to we wasn't having that bullshit. So case in point, even where black men were brave, there was still a fear factor there of white people. Not each other, but of white people. The consequences, what happens if you fight and the cops come? What happens? Whose side do they take? All of these type of things. This is the effects of slavery, bro. This is the effects. Okay. Warning, possible interloping negatives. Yeah, this should be interesting, right? Earlier, we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger and their wild or natural state. We talked out the principle of breaking and trying and tying them together for orderly production. Furthermore, we talked about paying particular attention to the female savage. Wow, the female savage. Wow. And her offspring for orderly future planning. Then more recently, we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and the female savages, we had created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless phenomenon occurred and reshifted the positions of the male and female savages. Savages. Our experts warn us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring, and they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time. So I already know where they're going with this. It can touch some substantial original historical base, and they advise us that the best way to deal with this phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomenon or illusions so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something akin to floating balls in a vacuum. This creation of a multiplicity phenomenon or illusions entails the principles of crossbreeding, the nigger and the horse. Wow. As we stated above, the purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, the results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each spherical illusion, since we feel that the subject matter may get more complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic plan concerning the purpose, reason, and effect of crossbreeding horses and niggers. We shall lay down the following dysfunctional terms for future generations. Number one, orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given pattern. 2, axis means upon which or around which a body turns. 3, phenomenon means something beyond ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. 4, multiplicity means a great number of sphere, means a globe. 6, crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse and breeding it with an ass, a donkey, okay? And you get a dumb backward ass. Long-headed mule that is not reproductive nor productive by itself. Crossbreeding niggers means taking so many drops of good white blood, wow, and putting them into as many nigger women as possible. Wow. Varying the drops. These are some sick people, and they call us savages by the various tones that you want. And then letting them breed with each other until the circle of colors appear as you desire. What they thought, this is like taking paint and shit and mixing and blue and white to make purple or some goofy shit. But these are some sick people. This is a sick guy. These are all sick people, man. What this means is this: put the niggers and the horse in the breeding pot. Mix some asses and some good white blood. Wow, good white blood, huh? Yeah, I thought you'd be called a nigger lover, wouldn't you? Some good white blood, and what do you get? You got a multiplicity of colors of ass backwards, unusual niggers. Wow. Running, tied to backwards ass, long-headed mulers. Wow. This motherfucker, these words. Mule. Okay, long-headed mules. This is a weird motherfucker, man. The one productive of itself, the other sterile. The one constant, the other dying. We keep the nigger constant, for we may replace the mule for another tool. Both mule and nigger tied to each other, neither knowing where the other came from, and neither productive for itself, nor without each other. And it's all a confusion thing. And it's all people coming from one place, then all of a sudden they come from a different place. Now you got light skin, dark skin, mellow yellow, red bone, like all this different shit going on. But do you see how fucking sick and twisted someone who thinks they're normal but calling people savages? Why were we savages? Why were we savages? What the fuck were we doing that made us savages? Let's proceed. Controlled language. Crossbreeding completed for further severance from their original beginning. We must completely annihilate the mother tongue of both the nigger and the new mule and institute a new language that involves the new life's work of both. You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of society. And see, the thing about it is this, right? The older generation is dying off, so slavery's still going on. Now these people are born into hearing the white man talk. So they learn their language from him. They learn how to speak from them. You understand what I'm saying? So now, you from Africa, you from where, you was what, you was, right? That dies, it disappears, it goes away. So what was whatever the language they were speaking, however they spoke before, and they were learning to speak the language of white Americans. Look at what's happening right now, right? You're stripped. Do you even know what you are? Do you even know what you are? Nope. Doesn't matter. But whatever you are, you see yourself as a product of your master. Okay. And we all know that they didn't like this and think it was right, but out of fear, where else am I going to go? What else am I going to do? And I'm pretty sure they told these slaves, if you try to escape, somebody else is just going to find you and return you. They're going to take you and they're going to treat you worse than me. Otherwise, nobody would have to fight for our freedom at no point in time. But yeah, this is the type of scumbag, savages that's out here. Notice white people never talk about this book. Notice they never bring up this guy. And the only ones that will say something about this dude will be the ones that know that this shit is wrong and want to point it out. But other than that, nah. And trust me, there's a lot of crackers out there that think that this motherfucker, not this black person in the front, but the dude, Willie Lynch, that wrote this, yeah, Where do you think the term lynch comes from? Yeah, but they think that this motherfucker was a hero. We need more like him. Let's go. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of the country to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to the extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign country. For example, you take a slave. If you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave. That reminds me of the Garden of Eden. You see, this is what I'm saying. This is nothing but human emotions. These people that wrote that Bible, wasn't no deity told them to write shit. And why the fuck do we need to know all that shit anyway? Right? But the less you know, the safer you were. So, this is where I say even the most racist of minds wrote in that book. You can eat off of any tree in this garden, except for the tree of knowledge. Right? The snake is the one that told the truth. The snake told Eve, said, listen, you will not die. God told you will surely die if you eat this fruit. You won't die. What will happen is you will be just like him, knowing good and evil, which means what? You won't need him anymore because you know these things. Now right? And people said the serpent is a lie. Didn't God say that the serpent was a deceiver? He said Satan was a serpent and it was a lie and a deceiver, right? And a lot of people thought the serpent that spoke was Satan speaking through that serpent, but the Bible never says that, not one time. But also, the Bible described the snake as being crafty. Okay, well, in real life, snakes can't talk. They can't even grunt. They don't make sounds like that. The little flick of the tongue, that's all you hear. A rattlesnake with the rattle, but snakes don't talk. They can't talk, okay? Donkeys can't talk either. But what did God say? Funny, they tell you God never walked the earth. You see how people are so brainwashed? They don't see contradictions. God has never been on this earth. And if you see God, you'll die. Says who? Then you got a couple of people said they saw God's face, but Jesus says nobody's seen him except for himself, right? So many contradictions and lies. In fact, let me get this point out first. So God, what does it say? Depending on what Bible you read, it's going to say Adam and Eve, or the man and the woman, as they heard the footsteps of the Lord as he walked through the garden. Not he called to them from the sky. He sent them an email. No, as he walked through the garden and he's calling to them, yo, Adam, Eve, where you at? Hey, where you guys at? And all of a sudden, they picked these leaves and was hiding themselves behind leaves. And God saw them. And what did he say? What hast thou done? You have eaten from the fruit of the tree of knowledge and good, right? Good and evil. He says, they are now like us, knowing good and evil. Well, who was us? Which the Bible never explains at any point who the us was he was talking about. But he said they are now like us, knowing good and evil. Isn't that what the fucking serpent told Eve? And did they die? No. And according to the Bible, Adam lived to be 900 years old. But Aries, what they meant was, we was never meant to... shut up. Stop adding stuff. See, you got to try to use your imagination to try to make things make more sense in that Bible. So the less you know, the dumber you are. Because mind you, they didn't know the consequences. They didn't know what death was. They didn't know what that was. They didn't know that, well, this is actually considered wrong. God just told us, if you eat from this tree, you will surely die. But they don't know this. It's no different from you telling your kids. Say your kids running around outside, right? And you got grass all over, but you got the pavement where you park your cars. And you hey, stop running on that pavement. Listen, stay on that grass, right? You got to get started with them. You're trying to help them. What happens if you turn your back 1 second? All of a sudden, the kid go running next to you, right? Now they know what that shit feels like. Now, if they get hurt bad enough, they'll stop doing it. But if not, they'll be hard-headed. And now you got to get stern on their ass till they get the message. Because that's what your fucking job is as a parent. Now, if you say some shit like, go ahead and run down that street and get killed, and it happens, you're a horrible parent. And that's what everybody's going to tell you. But you give instructions, you talk to your kids. If you fall, you can knock your teeth out. You can fall and bust your head open. Okay, now I got to take you to the hospital. Do you want to get stitched up? You want to stick needles in your... No, okay. But no, God just told them not to do it. But they had, okay, no real knowledge of it. And this is why God ends that scripture say, they are now like us, knowing good and evil. They did not have knowledge of good and evil. So no, even if you say don't do this, they don't know that it's actually wrong. They don't understand those concepts. And understand, unlike normal humans that we know, these people had no childhood. They were created as adults. Even when the Bible tells you in Genesis, when it says, when it says on the sixth day, God created male and female, and he told them, multiply and be fruitful. You're not telling a bunch of kids that. So he spoke man and woman into existence as grown adults, and they just knew how to fuck. They knew what everything was. They knew how to, garden and do all whatever the hell it was they was doing. And this is how, when it tells you that Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, and after Cain did what he did to Abel, and he says, when I go to the nations, outside to the cities, and people find out what I did, they're going to want to kill me. And that's when God, all of a sudden, he wants to protect him now. And it's always in the Bible, God is protecting bad people that do bad things to good people and then threaten you. If you touch this person, you'll do this and that. And we always say, why did you not kill Satan? So even no matter how good you are, the Bible tells you your prayers or no works don't matter. God chooses who he wants. That's what your Bible tells you. So when wasn't Satan kicked out of heaven? Right. And that scripture with Jesus says, I saw Satan when he fell from the heavens. Bullshit. Jesus didn't come into the Bible to the New Testament. So he couldn't have seen it. But that's because Jesus is so many contradictions and lies in that fucking book. So Jesus is on the cross yelling out, Father, why have thou forsaken me? Who's he talking to? Himself? When he says, why do you call me good? There's none good other than the Father. You understand what I'm saying? Our Father. So several times Jesus referenced God. So all this other shit where people want to try to, but Jesus is God. No, a deity doesn't need food and water. They took the sponge and sipped it in the fucking wine and was poured it in Jesus' mouth. Okay, a deity wouldn't need that. But no, see, he was just every excuse, everything the Bible don't say. That's what you guys try to fill in. And this bullshit right here shows the mind control that the Bible has over you as well. And this is why y'all feel the need to worship something. It has to be. Otherwise, life has no purpose. We have to bow to something. There has to be something greater than us. But what makes you think whatever that is needs worship? I created everything. I'm the begin all, end all. But I need your punk ass to tell everybody who I am and what I am. I'm all wise, all knowing. And I know it's going to be confusion. People are not going to understand and really fully. So why don't I just show myself? We'll see the thing. Right now, here you go knowing everything. Like he told you this. God said this. God said, let there be light. Who the fuck was there to know this? And nothing was written down in so-called real time. 70 to 300 years later, all this shit started being written down. 30, 70, 300. I can't even give you an accurate account of my own fucking life. If somebody says, let's do a documentary about your life right now. What are we talking about? I got to think of certain things that happened and stick to that. But what are we leading to ultimately? I would have to write everything about my life. My parents should have been having to write all this shit down till I was old enough to read and write on my own and write all this shit down. And otherwise, I couldn't even give you an accurate account about myself. I can remember certain things that happened, how it happened. Well, I said, ultimately, what is the story about? Because if it's about my life, way too late for me to start trying to write down. I remember, no. So there's no accuracy in this shit. Okay. Now, let me do this shit over. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of the country to the extent that he knows the body of language, to the extent is the what's it with this extent? Why this motherfucker keep repeating himself? Okay, but to the extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. And you see all of this shit, man, racism towards people that's just not American, that's not white. And even if you got white skin, you're still not American. There's an issue. Okay. Country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. For example, you take a slave. Okay, that's what we were. If you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he will then no more. He is then no more a slave. So the more uneducated you are, okay, the less you know about anything. You don't know enough to make wiser decisions. Okay, just like you don't have enough common sense to know that your master is no good. You accept this as this is just life how it was intended to be. Yeah. Why do you think Harriet Tubman said, yeah, I did free a lot of slaves, and I would have freed a whole lot more if only they knew that they were slaves? Okay? So being that now, if I teach you, like that old saying, I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything that I know, which means there's a whole lot of shit you still don't know yet. Okay? And that's what this is. Let's keep them uneducated. Let's keep them dumb. Okay? For you cannot fool him any longer. And having a fool is one of the basic ingredients of an incident. This dude's words, how he write, he's trying to say, I don't know if he's just trying to sound intelligent, but these words, no longer, and having a fool is one of the basic ingredients of an incident to the making of the slavery system. You talk weird, motherfucker. Okay. And that's the whole thing. Let's keep them stupid. Now, why would God not want Adam and Eve to eat the fruit? What is it that they weren't supposed to know about life? And somehow you're supposed to make it and not do anything wrong? Well, if they didn't eat of the fruit, what else would they have done wrong that they didn't know was wrong? It'd have been something else, right? And this is the writing or the teachings of some deity. You really believe that this shit is true? Yeah, let's keep them dumb. And that's why they always chose you. Then your parents ever tell you, don't read anything outside the Bible. That's nothing but the trick of the devil trying to mess your mind up. Because they thought the Bible was just it. Okay. For example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops, and the slavery system would break down. So no, it's not your crop, nigga. It's my crop. So our doesn't include you. You're doing all this labor for us, stupid nigga. Let's keep you dumb. Okay. And the slavery system would break down. Yeah, okay, right? For he would relate on the basis of what our crops really mean. So you have to be careful in setting up new language, for the slave would soon be in your house. Talking to you as man to man. And that is death to our economic system. In addition, the definition of our words or terms are only a minute apart of the process. Values are created and transported through communication. Of course, just like the garden. Okay, eating the fruit. Okay, the communication. Through the body of the language, a total society has many interconnected value systems. All these values in the society have bridges of language to connect them for orderly working in the society. But for these language bridges, these many value systems would sharply clash and cause internal strife or civil war, the degree of the conflict being determined by the magnitude of the issues or relative opposing strength in whatever form. For example, if you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there and incorporate in him to value it as a way of life completely, the biggest problem you would have out of him is that he would worry you about provisions to keep the hog pen clean or partially clean, or he might not worry you at all. See, if you're too nice to these niggas and you teach them too much, now they're going to talk to you man to man. Like, I know what you know. I'm no slave. I know what you know, right? But they always had white skin against them. They was always outnumbered. But see, now they might communicate and start to build a resistance. Yeah, we're going to go to war then. We're gonna find a way that we're going to attack. You understand what I'm saying? They will become more crafty with how to escape your grip. Now, you put him in a hog pen. Think about it, a fucking hog pen. But he's going to know this is not sanitary. This is not clean. I need this clean, right? No, he's going to understand he's being mistreated. We want them to think that the life that they were born into, the life that they know, that is what they deserve. That's who they are. And they have no say-so in that, right? And pretty much, like you said, next thing you know, they'll be in your house. Well, guess what? It's obvious at this point when he wrote this, certain things didn't happen the way he wanted it to, right? And then he suggested this is why you had the house nigga and the field nigga. So there was no house niggas at this point. You see? And the fact of the matter is, they put a human being in a fucking hog pen. They want you to be grateful for your hog pen, but fearful to speak up about your hog pen being a hog pen and why am I out here living like an animal? Why I'm not in the house like you, right? No, they want you to accept the terms and like the terms, but they don't want you to ever be comfortable enough to think that you can question them, to think that you can say anything in defense of yourself. And think about this. We tell people knowledge is the key to life, right? The more you learn, the more you understand. The Bible didn't want Adam and Eve. Okay, God didn't want Adam and Eve to learn. So somehow they unlocked all the dark secrets of life. A deity that chose to play the game wrong. Let me ask y'all a question. If you could create babies, let's say the way the Bible say God made Adam and Eve, why did he speak all the other humans into existence, but somehow he makes Adam out of mud and clay and makes Eve from his rib? Well, did that make them any better? Did that do anything for life differently? Hold up. Think about it. But they didn't specify nothing about how he made these humans and how he made heaven and what's in heaven. And none of that was nothing. But let's just think about this. If you could form a baby, same way, would you make your baby blind? Would you make your baby with cancer? Would you make your baby, what's that disease when babies they try to eat their own flesh? Would you make a baby like that? Would you make your baby retarded? Would you make your baby with bad, why? Why would you choose to do that? Why? Would you make our bodies to where we can get cancer from the sun? Would you make poison ivy? Would you make animals that have to kill each other to survive? See, they say God is perfect, but God makes an imperfect world. And people like this piece of shit right here claims our Lord, our God. But because of the slavery in the Bible, this is where this shit comes from. The mindset of slavery didn't just start. And you shove the Bible in our face and tell us we can't be Christians, but our way to make God happy is to serve you. Now, again, what he said, imagine if the slaves all had this knowledge. So the more these motherfucking people learn and the more they start to fight back and all these things. See, that's the whole thing. He wanted to be a perfect slave operation. Nobody tries to run away. Nobody fights back. Nobody attacks nobody. They just take whatever punishment and mistreatment they're going to get and don't question it. Guess what, y'all? We got through this whole thing. So I don't have to do a second, third, fourth video. I thought I was going to have to do that, but I had to explain things. I didn't want to just read the book. I wanted to explain things because I want to bring awareness to this type of stuff. I only have one thing else left to read. Okay? So the whole thing, you see where it says, he will soon be in your house. In bold letters, that's because you're teaching too much. So, yeah, on the other hand, if you put the same slave in the same hog pen and make a slip and incorporate them for something, when he said make a slip, means you fuck up, you teach him the wrong thing, teach him a little bit too much, expose too much to him, he's going to be questioning you all of a sudden, right? So on the other hand, if you put this same slave in the same hog pen and make a slip and incorporate them for something, and his language, whereby he comes to value a house more than he does his hog pen, you got a problem. And that's the end of this shit. Okay? And basically, this is what the fuck the Willie Lynch letter has been. Before my mama passed away, I told her to read. I bought her own. And my mama did the same thing that most of you fucking slaves out there do. But you see, it's not the Bible. It's man. And I'm like, Mama, after you read this, you still don't get it. I said, Mama, do you obviously believe in this Bible? I said, Mama, answer this honestly. I ain't never known you to be no liar. I said, you tell me that you read that Bible and you don't frown at some of that stuff that you read, a whole lot of it. Well, yeah, I do. Okay. So then if you can frown your face at anything that Bible says, anything, that means you pick and choose the parts that you like. And if it doesn't sound right to you, it sounds like some bullshit, it's because it is. And that's where y'all always fail us in trying to tell us, ask God for guidance, pray. No, you prayed for guidance and asked God, and you can't even explain it to me. So I'm just going to end up like you, praying, no answers, but think I know something. And if I don't know, how do I know I'm doing the right thing? So when I start to break this shit down, dissect this Bible, and start to study this shit and really understand what I was reading, I saw it completely different from you. You know it's bullshit, mama, but you know what your fear is? Your fucking fear is, what if I'm wrong, though? What if I stop believing in that? You know what happened with my mama? My mama's dead. I told y'all know this 2 years ago. You see what my mama did was this. My mama sat right here in this house, right over there in that chair, okay? About a month before she passed, about a month and a half. And I did not know my mama had pneumonia. I was on the phone with her. A couple of days before she passed. I was on the phone with her. And it was on a Saturday when she ended up in the hospital. Now, my mama had got remarried, right? Now, this is what I didn't know. She was telling her husband at the time, he was sick. She was wheezing a lot. I didn't know this. He told her, baby, I'm going to take you to the hospital because you don't sound... And my mama got an attitude. Look, you can't go running to no hospital every time something happened. You got to trust and believe in God. That's the problem now. Every time somebody want to go run to some psychiatrist or they want to run to some hospital, you got to believe in God and this and this and that. And you see the fear that they talk about here? Huh? Then the woman lead and the husband is scared. Okay, well, he don't want to argue. It's not about arguing. I'd have just fucking called 911 and she'd have got her ass in an ambulance. I don't give a fuck how mad she get. And what happened? She don't want to go to the hospital, but they are going out to go hang out and chill. Instead of her, no, she praying. My mama passed out. Okay? So you know what happens when you don't get enough oxygen to go to your brain. And they have to put you on oxygen. Now, all of a sudden, she don't snap out of it. Didn't get enough oxygen to the brain in time. That part of the brain that controls her movement on. Now, she has brain damage. And as soon as they said my mama had permanent brain damage, I knew she was gone already. And my sisters, I know how they get when shit happened. I already knew she was gone. Now, we were willing to go through every possible thing that we could possibly do where her insurance could handle it, whatever, to try to keep my mother alive. And the one thing I know my mom said to me is, I don't want to be no vegetable. If I'm ever, just let me go. And I know that's something easy for people to say, but it's hard for people to just, I know once I pull this plug, it's over. Once I tell them it's right or whatever. But the reality was this. That's how she ended up dying. Trusting in her God. Trusting in her God to make her better. And you know what happens? Everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die, right? And they tell you, we're going to pray. You pray. My mom was always on the prayer line. Always. You pray. They end up in a bad situation. You pray for that situation. The situation gets worse. You pray for that situation, then they die. And then you lie to yourself and say what? It was just in God's plans. It was just God's trying to... Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Every one of us are going to die. We don't know when or how. Me, you, everybody. I don't give a fuck about an afterlife. I don't want to... First of all, floating around just singing songs and praising and all. Yeah, right. Where? Right. Fairy tale shit. Same book telling me we had a big ass boat full of animals. All these wild animals and none of them tried to kill each other. They just sat there like it was a big ass Shrek movie, just chilling. Huh? Huh? You think Eddie Murphy, you think the donkeys had Eddie Murphy's voice on there? A man is in the well of a belly for 3 days. He didn't die from the gases, suffocation, nothing. And I suppose this well never opened his mouth not one time where he can just swim out. He just stay under the water the whole time with his mouth closed. A man being nailed to a cross. All of these fairy tales. A Garden of Eden. Jesus is God, y'all say, right? But this motherfucker didn't even know that it wasn't fig season. He saw a fig tree and wanted figs. What did the Bible say? And this angered him. And Jesus said, may this tree never bear figs again. Well, damn, if he was a smart Jesus and he had the power to do that, he could have just said, may this tree bear figs for me to eat right now. Did he do that? No, he cursed the tree. God tells Moses to speak to the rock and water will come out. Moses hits the rock instead of speaks to it. He punishes Moses for that shit. Huh? People make mistakes in the Bible. God kills them. How many people did Satan kill in the Bible? Huh? 3? God killed billions. And God gets so angry, go into town, kill every man, woman, and child, and the infants and the animals too. Damn. One of your commandments was thou shalt not kill. It's the first thing he did after he got off the boat. Huh? The killing of animals, and all of a sudden, and this pleased God, for he smelled the sweet savor. How the fuck he told somebody this shit? Why the fuck do we need to know that? But you said thou shalt not kill. But it was something about the slaughtering of animals to this God. Always bloodthirsty, everything is punishable by death. Nah, nigga, you can't make a mistake around me. I want you perfect. And since I'm all wise and all knowing, I know you never will be. So I'm just going to have fun fucking your life up. Y'all still don't get it. Y'all still running around here. Lord, please, man, fuck your fake imaginary God. Get up off of y'all black asses. Stop looking for something to kneel down to and take control of your fucking life. Stop thinking you're here to be some fucking celebrity or if I'm not rich, I'm not this, I'm not. No, you go out and do what you got to do. Learn respect, learn camaraderie, learn how to love each other. That Bible is just as toxic as this. And that's the whole point of me making this video. So I'm going out with a fucking bang for Black History Month. I'm black every day. So the lessons don't stop. I just want to wake y'all up. The same shit in the Bible, a whole lot. All that, you see it right here. You see it right here. And this is why it's so sad. Because you can see a black woman and you can go, damn, she's fine as fuck. You just don't know what's on the inside. You understand? Black women see a black man. They don't know what to, nobody knows what to think about nobody. That's sad. So to be correct, gentlemen, you reference these savages, these barbaric, racist motherfuckers as gentlemen, huh? But call us savages. I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord, 1700. Okay? So that's the year. 1712 is when he wrote this shit. 1712. Do you not see the separation of the black man and black woman, even from this book? That shit applies today. Do you not see how black men and black women are separated? Notice in this book, they're not talking about Latino men and women. They're not talking about Turkish men and women. They're not talking about Thai people, Filipino people. No, there's black people. Do you not see? There's no race on earth where you see black, like men and women treat each other the way how black men and black women, how we just can't mesh. You see, the effects is still here. The effects of this shit is still fucking with us as a society of people. But just like this, if the white man gives you something, that was Soulja Boy's message. He used two black people as an example and said, they never put no money in my pocket, nigga. Showing you the money. But yo, my white master did. That's the fucking mentality. A black woman set up on somebody's show and said, when she see a black man with a white woman, that's a sign of weakness in that black man. But if she see a black woman with a white man, she knows that black woman got tired of black men's bullshit. That's what she said. So y'all can go fuck with pale skin, but we can't. It's an excuse for we do it, but it's a reason when y'all do it. Okay. Guarantee you her black ass don't have anybody. And if she does, he's a fucking yes man, a flunky. Because see, here's the thing, right? My mom was black. My grandma was black. My sisters, we all black. Now, the mixes in our family, cool. But let me explain something to y'all. My skin don't look like this, but inside, this is what the fuck I am. I'm a black man. I am black inside and out, but I'm saying I'm black as fuck inside. The problem is, when a person talk about black, understand, we always reference ourselves as real niggas. Real niggas. These motherfuckers is calling us savages, beasts, uncivilized. That's what they put in front of a camera to this day. A bunch of uncivilized acting niggas, and say that's what they are. You guys are victims of this Willie Lynch letter, of slavery in general. Biblical slavery that you read about, was taught about, and all this shit. I don't believe the Bible, all that supernatural shit. I don't believe in no God. I don't believe in none of this shit. If there's a God sitting up there with all this capability, all wise, all knowing, can do anything, and all this murder, all the killing, everything that's going on, and we coming up with stupid excuses about because we have free will and see shut the fuck up, man. Imagine if I sat here, 255 pounds of fucking muscle, and can fight my ass off and just watch somebody stomp the shit out you, rape you, beat you, and I have all the power to end this motherfucker just like that, but I just sit and watch him do it. You wouldn't think much of me, would you? Your bitch ass would be scared to say something because I'd fuck you up worse than your attacker did, but at the end of the day, you know what you do? I can't believe this dude, man. Every sat there and watched it. He could have easily, So why, when it comes to your God, you're too stupid to have that same understanding? He can stop all this, but he don't. So for every baby that's born with a bad birth defect and die, for every child that's molested and raped, for babies that's found dead in the garbage, you mean God sat there and said it, but that was his plan? That was his plan? And it's just time to bring them home? Y'all got to start waking up from this fairy tale. There's no babies in hell. No. So when God sent people into Sodom and Gomorrah and other situations where he tell them to go kill every man, woman, and child, and the infants too, he brought the babies to heaven? No. Well, why kill the babies? Why not spare them? Why not spare the innocent? Nah, bullshit. You see, the problem is you try to make something immoral moral. You try to make a contradiction and misunderstanding on our behalf. No, it's you motherfuckers. Case in point, until black people break away from that Bible, until they break away from this slave mentality, we won't get anywhere. That Bible is has as much effect on the way we think as this motherfucker right here. And this just represents what slavery was and the effort that this motherfucker put into trying to wake people up on how to keep us under their motherfucking bullwhip forever. And if y'all don't see it by now, you're never going to see it. But this is what's real right here. This shit is more important to me than any boxing news. This is more important to me than any of this other shit. Because this is real. This is real. And the effects are still there. We went through this whole Willie Lynch letter. And I didn't have to do several videos. If I did, they would have uploaded faster, more than likely, unless I make the video the same amount of time. They were going to unload at different times, so whatever. I wanted you guys to get all of it, and I didn't have to do it, so great. Fuck it. Turn this shit on, sit your black ass down and listen and learn. Drive in your car, clean your house, whatever. Just turn me up and pay attention. Aries is the one that gives a fuck. I don't have to do this shit, but I have to. That's all I got for y'all right now. And at the end of the day, I said what I said. Happy Black History Month to all my black brothers and sisters. One love.